Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of It Starts With You. I'm the host, Anna Yu, here with Darren Darnborough, who is the founder of our WeAudition Entertainment Community. We were interested in learning more about how our British founder was able to form a community that allows everyone that comes to the events to feel like they're a part of something more. Let's get started. How have you been, Darren?
I've been pretty good. I've been, busy and up and down with my thoughts and feelings on everything.
Oh my gosh, how long has it been?
Since we've seen each other.
Yeah,
I saw you at a couple of events recently, not that long. You came to my WeAudition party for the Emmys. I have a picture of you there in your sash. So,
oh my gosh,
yes.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. There's many pictures of you there. So yeah, we definitely saw each other in September, but yeah.
Oh.
But that's still a while ago. Yeah.
Oh.
How good.
So tell me a little bit more about WeAudition and what you guys do. I know it's a huge community now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a community platform. So we built it as a piece of software to help actors find a reader on demand for their self-tapes. So it's a video chat software where you go in and when you're ready to do an audition, either rehearsal or your actual tape, you can find someone that's available right now to help you with the right skills of what you need. But you mentioned the word community, yes, evolved into this community of people because by nature, if you're connecting through video chat with people you don't know, that are part of a certain set of people, in this case it's our members, they're all actors, they form these community bonds and they start working with the same people, they start becoming friends. In one instance, we even had a couple got married because they were working with each other so much on WeAudition. And then we have these events that we do around the world at film festivals and in LA and New York to bring people together in the real world because the online connection, as we all know from the pandemic, it's great when you need it in a situation like the pandemic. It was so necessary to keep us connected. But nothing beats this. Nothing beats getting together in person,
Yeah, like having a eye contact and talking in person and
3D experience.
Yeah, so for your networking events and things like that, are they all in person or can you tell me a little bit more about that?
We have done in the past, we've done a few things online where we set up a system called the Green Room where we had a virtual hangout room of up to 9 people to facilitate some quote unquote networking, but they don't work as well as in-person events because I've always been a fan of in-person events. My previous businesses were either in events or they used events as a component of it. And I think there's something special about being in a room of people with a common mindset and the effort it takes to get dressed up, to go there, to be in a place and to really sort of carve out that time for that purpose and be all encompassed in it. If you think about the idea of going to an actual event, whether it's at a bar or a conference hall or whatever, it takes several elements to turn up there and be, how are you dressing? What time are you getting there? What time are you leaving? Which friends are going with you? Or are you going alone? All those things. That it becomes its own experience that you have that experience in a different sense because it's on all the senses. You can't be distracted really there. I see people that nowadays you're half on your phone, you're half on an event, but realistically you're still immersed in that experience for that time. And I think that is so important still. So I think the in-person bit is really necessary. And also with all the chat about AI, that's the one thing an AI is not going to be able to do. It will be able to organize the events for you. It'll be able to send out the emails, all of that stuff, but it won't be able to do this. And people will crave that, I think.
Do you think AI would be able to physically replicate a person, but emotionally it just won't be there?
No, I think emotionally it will be there. I think we'll get to a point where, I don't know, I think we'll get to a point where it'll be indistinguishable and we'll need some kind of marker, whether it's a wristband or a tattoo on the face to tell us because what's happening right now is so convincing that all you have to do is map that onto a physical, on one hand you've got robots being developed with humanoid robots with the physicality of a person.
Yeah.
And then you've got these incredible digital images and replicas you've only got to merge the two, and it becomes something that certainly you would be convincing. Maybe not convinced entirely, but you'd be convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll get to a point where you could be a humanoid robot interviewing in a real setting. Yeah.
I feel like one of the issues that I kind of see from that is that, like, first of all, like, I do notice that, like, the AI is already taking people's jobs. But then at the same time, like, people aren't able to have relationships, you know, fully at least, because they aren't able to distinguish, like, a human from a robot.
Right.
You know, and already we're at the point where we're like so engrossed in social media, and I think that could be a potentially bigger problem than it already is.
Yeah, I think the research shows it's a huge problem. And I think the people that had kids that have grown up on social media, they're the ones that are seeing it first, because, you know, at a certain age, you can still sort of remember a life before it. I certainly can.
Yeah.
And so I think at my age, you learn to use social media in addition to your skills. But there's a whole generation of people that is their skill, that's their only way that they've done things. And I think the effects are starting to show on them not having real relationships or being able to have certain conversations. I certainly see it in the negative side of things. I think people these days are much more prone to being able to be critical of somebody else.
Yeah.
It's so easily without repercussions. Whereas when I was growing up, if you threw some shade at somebody, you'd get beaten up. Like, it was as simple as that, so you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But these days you can hide behind a screen and do those things, and I think that's pretty damaging. And, you know, feeding into what you said about relationships, how is that affecting our youth? How is that showing up in the way that they communicate, the way they meet a partner, the way they form a business relationship? Are they getting the right skills? I don't know the answer to that, you know.
I used to teach high school, right? And I think that it's been kind of difficult for teenagers nowadays to form like decent relationships. I do know that they tell me, when I was a teacher, they used to tell me when their parents were getting divorced. Some of them would come during snack or lunch, and they would ask if they could talk to me. And I didn't know what it was about. But I mean, if a student wants to talk to me, I'm open to talk. And those were some of the things they would want to talk to me about, because I would just assume it's because they can't talk to anybody else about it.
Do you think it's because of your authority figure and being their teacher you would know more, or do you think they weren't talking to their friends about it?
I think it would be both. And I think as a teacher, it would be necessary to be open to talk about those things. And I feel like at the same time, because there's not a lot of guidance, I think, and they turn to social media.
So how do you think we change that for them? How do we, if there were any young people listening, what advice would you give them so they're not in that position about creating that community of people around them they can talk to? Is there something the youth are lacking, do you think?
I think this is one thing that I've read. It's that because a lot of parents or people who have recently got married in the recent years are getting divorced so soon after marriage, there's a high chance that the kids that are growing up in that marriage grow up with social media, because the parents are busy working, and that's the tools that the parents will give them to their child, because they don't have like a nanny or something.
So it's a distraction.
Yeah, it's a distraction. And when that happens, the brains of the child is formed to develop with social media. But when we grew up without social media, right? And that has a huge impact on how our brains form. And the closeness of like a mother and child is something that cannot be changed, you know? So I think like the family dynamic has something to do with that too.
I suppose that matters if you have a good family, but then for the kids that have a bad family and they're experiencing those things that form their brain in the opposite way. You know, I look back over my life now, and to be honest, in many ways, I can look back and be grateful for different experiences because I get lessons from all of them. And there's resilience that I've been taught, but I wouldn't want my childhood to be the same as what it was. I look at some people now and see how they grew up, and I was like, oh, wow, that seems nice. The way their family dynamics were, that mine wasn't. You know, I can look back and see that when you're a kid, you don't know any different. Your way is your way, right? Yeah. But in the same way that, you know, an example like you gave is with the mother and child's bond. If it's good, it's good. But if it's not good, then I think it actually helps to have some of these other tools if they're used in the right way. So like I often speak about the comparison of social media, right? I use social media to compare myself all the time. I know there's an unhealthy version of that. But and I don't know what the side effects are. I'm not a scientist, right? But I certainly know that I get inspired by the comparison. If I see someone on an amazing trip or I see someone succeeding in their career, part of me, it's an unhealthy comparison. It's like a why not me? Yeah. But another part drives me. It says, well, okay, that's possible. Or if it's just something as simple as travel, I'm like, wow, I didn't know that place existed. That's awesome. So every time I try and come off social media, I remember because, you know, you go through moments of like, oh, I don't want to do this stuff. It's like, it's a waste of time. And I go, no, actually, I get inspired by things from that. So I suppose it depends what's feeding to you. But getting back to AI, I actually wonder if AI is going to help kids like that, your version with the divorce, because I'm using my AI, my ChatGPT quite a lot. And I find it's learning things about me and my business, which is great. It understands a lot. But the thing I noticed I don't know, I haven't used any other models, but ChatGPT always very diplomatic about everything. It always presents both sides of the argument. So like, I've tried to ask it something like, hey, I'm feeling this way about this, and like this thing sucked because of this. They said, well, Darren, let's look at both sides of the coin. It sucked because of this, but equally, did you think about this part? And so always, you know, I recently we did a big event in Cannes Film Festival for our company, and overall it went amazing. Some things went to plan, some things didn't go to plan. If I tried to focus on this at all in my ChatGPT, it would make sure it honed in the positive side as well. And it's sort of designed to do that. And I think that's a good antidote to social media, which is fed by an algorithm that if you want to watch videos of people fighting, that's all you're going to see. Yeah. Right? But ChatGPT will say, well, there are people fighting for this, but did you notice they also gave each other flowers? Yeah. And I think that's going to be, I'm not going to say it's as healthy as a family dynamic, but it feels like it's going in a better direction to me. For getting back to the point, so a kid like what you said might be able to talk to their AI and find a well-rounded ear to air their problems to.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do agree with you in that aspect. Like, I feel like you're able to see both sides of the argument and see, like, the pros and cons of what may or may not happen, you know? And, like, I do feel like in that aspect, though, like, I do feel like that is what makes it a little bit more dangerous, is because, like, sometimes, like, we don't think of those things, you know? And, like, it's kind of like helping us think, you know?
Stopping our cognitive development.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. But I mean, a calculator does that as well. I mean, at one point, people had to do sums on paper. I guess it's all about how you manage the negative effects of that, right? Yeah. I don't care that I can't do calculus. Right? But I might care if I'm not emotionally intelligent. Yeah. And other people around me would care if I wasn't emotionally intelligent.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not going to be an engineer, so I don't need calculus either, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, I think no one's going to need it now with AI, right? So, that's the thing, yeah.
I mean, I'm Asian, and I can't do calculus either. It's fine.
That stereotype's probably going to change as well, isn't it?
But yeah, so like, what are some things like from your childhood that, you know, you said that like there are some things that you wouldn't really want to replicate, but like what do you mean by that?
Just the environment I grew up in, the family dynamics, the way my family speak to each other, the way that certain things were done in the household and out the household and in my local area, the type of town I grew up in, what was considered normal there. You know, it's not the best place, not to crap on my hometown, but it's not the safest place to live. And so I was exposed to things like, you know, I was assaulted when I was 16, I had a bottle smashed over my head. I spent my birthday evening after my party in the hospital. And then I went from the hospital to the police station to make a statement. At the time, that just felt like, that's my town. And then I look back and go, well, how did that change me as a person? And I know how it immediately changed me from the fear of, I had a fear of, you know, I'm a very social person. I had a fear of socializing after that. I can't remember now how long, but it's probably a good few months where I didn't even want to leave the house. And how does that affect your confidence? So all those type of things. And then how did my family handle that? What was told to me in relation to that? And as I got older, I understand that wasn't everybody's reality.
Yeah.
Some people had things worse than me. Some people had them better. But it definitely shapes you. You know, I lost my mum to cancer at a really young age. I was 19 when she died. I didn't feel like that was that young because I had two friends that lost one of their parents at age 12 and 11. And they were my best friends. So I'd already seen them go through that. And now I meet people that are my age. I'm 47. And they have both their parents at this age. Mm-hmm. And I think, oh, wow, that's not that normal. Yeah. You know, so you just go, all of these experiences. Now I look at those experiences and I think, well, if I hadn't grown up in that town with that kind of family dynamic, lost a parent, I might not be in America because I might not have had that drive and that ambition to leave, to do something different. Or I don't want to use the word better because somebody's better is somebody else's worse, right? I know people from my hometown that would hate to live in LA, right? I love it. But it's those things that shape you, and depending on how you deal with them, they might have affected you in a negative way. But the outcome, if you've done it in the quote unquote right way, you might still get a different and better outcome because of it, because of the way it pushes you or inspires you, or even just simple, I can be grateful for different things because I know the change, I know where it come from. You know, if you were stuck underground for an hour with limited air, you'd be very grateful just for your breath when you got out, right? Or a glass of water. So it's just like those things, those comparisons, I think are helpful.
I think that's one of the things that I find kind of interesting is that, like, you know how you said that you came from like a more difficult background, and like my partner, he's from Michigan, and he told me that he's had a hard time telling anyone that for a long time. And I find that there's always a drive for people that come from difficult backgrounds. And the same with you too. You have like an extremely resilient drive to do anything, to do everything.
Thank you.
You know,
I don't always feel that way, but thank you for saying that.
Like I see it, like the way you talk about everything, you know. And like, yeah, like I see that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it comes from part necessity, because that's all we've known. You have to have that drive to sustain. And then part of it is just wanting to change your story, you know.
And it's always inspiring for the person who's hearing your story, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you find inspiring about it?
I feel like for me, I'm thinking about like, when was the last time I called my mom? and said thank you.
When was it?
Almost 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, she's still alive, but I just think about that, and I just feel wow, I should be more grateful for that. And
it's easy to not feel grateful every day for the things that we take for granted, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think you can't, everyone has their own way of doing things, and you can spend your whole day just being grateful for things and get nothing done. Sometimes I do that. I do the gratitude diary in the morning, and the other days I don't, because I'm I got to get on with stuff. I can't spend all my time doing this, right? It's kind of this paradox, because if you really think about it, there's so much you can be grateful for. There's so much reflection you can do on a day. There's so much introspection you can do. It's about balance for me there. But I think for what you're saying there, yeah, I mean, if you look at other people's situations or scenarios, you'll always find something in yourself that you go, I didn't realise that this bit comes easy to me. Especially if you're going through a period where you think something's hard and it's easy for somebody else. And I've had some of these thoughts lately I'm glad you recognise that I'm relentless, because I also feel like I am. And I've also been getting exhausted being that relentless. And I go through these periods of can something just come easy? It's not that I don't want to work hard, but I would like once in a while a little incoming, something just to come easy. We may not have to try so hard for all of it. Yeah. But then my mindset will shift, because something will present itself where someone will say to me about an example, and they're looking at me going, that came easy to you. And you don't see it from that perspective. You only see the work you're putting in. And then to somebody else, they might think, rightly or wrongly, that thing came easy to you. And then that changes my perspective. It's well, I wonder if that's the outside story, but I'm not seeing the whole picture.
I feel when I'm thinking about the community that you built, and you just shared your story now, I'm just that must have taken a lot of work,
It has, and it still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even building a podcast, it's not easy, So I'm thinking of you just told me you came from out of country, and you're not even from LA.
No.
Yeah. So and WeAudition is a big thing here now, and so that's pretty amazing,
Thank you. Thank you. Like you said, it just takes relentless effort.
Yeah.
I think if we'd taken our foot off the gas at any point, it wouldn't be where it is. And there was time when it wasn't. When we first started it was growing slowly, and it got some traction. And then there was a period where we were this isn't really working. People were using it, they were liking it, but not enough. There was not the critical mass it needed to be exciting for us to continue.
Yeah.
And there's a point where we were going to give it up. We were going to, the three of us that were involved at the time, I had a third co-founder, and we said, this is the spot. This is where we make the decision. Do we move forward or do we close it down? And there was a few discussions, and we potentially nearly sold it to an outside company, and their interest in it made me feel wait, is there something I'm not seeing? Why are they interested in it?
Yeah.
To this degree. And so we decided to push a little harder. And me and my business partner now, Richard, I remember we made an agreement. We said, let's give this 6 more months, and that's it. Because that was all we had left in us. We were exhausted. Mm-hmm. We said, let's do 6 months, but it's got to be 6 months of really going for it. No excuses. And within a few months, it turned around. And the difference was that extra 20%. We were probably putting 80% in before.
That's amazing.
You know about the Pareto principle? Have you heard of that?
The what?
The Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Oh, yeah.
80% of your success comes from 20% of your efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I think in that example, the 20% of effort that we weren't putting in was responsible for the 80% of success because it changed everything by pushing that a little bit harder. Yeah. And then we're still pushing that hard. It doesn't stop. That's the funny thing about it. Same with the podcast.
Yeah.
If you drop your promotion for 1 week, the numbers go down and then you're building up again, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. Well, I feel you. We launched a podcast last year. I know exactly, and we launched it with a big audience, you know.
Yeah.
And it's still hard because you have this big audience.
Yeah.
And then only this many of them listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
And you're like, what does it take? Because you think about the platforms you're out there on.
Yeah.
There's so much choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can't rely on the platform to tell somebody what they should listen to.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be like a 0.1% of discovery. The rest is on you. The rest is on you building your community, which is what you're doing.
Yeah. How did you get started on like building your community? Like
for WeAudition or for I can answer this for any of the companies I've had before because I had a couple of companies before that as well.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in live events.
Oh.
I've always done live events.
Okay.
So for every company I've ever launched, I've had a launch party.
Okay.
You know, day one, we're launching this company. It's a way. I think that this is the simple, you know, psychology behind it. Everyone loves to get an invite, whether it's a birthday party, a wedding, a store opening. Not everybody. Some people don't. Some introverts don't like it. But overall, generally, people like to show up to something.
I'm an introvert, but I still like.
You love an event.
Yeah.
You love an event, right? So, because think about the psychology, it feels special to get an invite. You feel picked.
Yeah.
Right? You feel invited, and then you go up, and it's like I said at the start of this conversation, you show up to a certain place in a certain time, and there's multiple decisions. What am I going to wear? Who am I going to go with? How am I going to get there? Mm-hmm. All of that is what I refer to as kind of having skin in the game, right? Mm-hmm. So if your potential customer or your potential champion, because not everybody that comes to your launch event is going to be a customer by the traditional sense. They might be somebody that's just an influential person that tells someone else about it. They might just be there to make the place look good or be fun, right? You know that friend that shows up to your party and they're first on the dance floor? That friend is important. They make the energy for everyone else. So if you're throwing an event for a bunch of plastic surgeons and your friend is a florist, it doesn't matter. If they're the friend that's first on the dance floor, invite them because they will make it good for everyone else in the room, right? If you're having a Halloween party, the friend that will dress up in the best costume, they're important, right? So when you've got skin in the game like that, then you're creating and you're galvanizing a shared experience, and that's the number one important thing for a community is they have to have a sense of shared experience.
Wait, but why is it plastic surgeons?
Oh, I just picked that out of nowhere. I used to be on the board of a charity of plastic surgeons.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not. My point is whatever your community is, don't hyper focus on. So I have this idea about how to run the perfect event. Okay. It's my 25% rule. To run a successful event, you need 25% of the right people, right? Mm-hmm. Now, most people run events for their industry or their niche of 100% of the right people. So they think, I'm in real estate, I'm trying to sell houses. Mm-hmm. So I want to invite 100% of people that buy houses. But they might be, I'm not saying this for sure, but they might be really boring people. So instead of that, invite 25% of the right people. There's the people that can buy these houses. Then you want to invite 25% of the fun people. They're people that will literally come and have a good time because that will make them have a good time and that will make them have a shared experience, more likely to buy that house.
Yeah. And
then I have a 25% of what I colloquially call the good-looking people. Now, that doesn't need to be just in aesthetics, right? Good-looking could be people that dress up nicely. If it's, as I mentioned, like a Halloween party, it's your friend that goes all out on the costume. You don't say, please dress up and they put some cat ears on. They go all out, right? So they're the aesthetic group. They make the place look great. So if you're doing a film festival party, then it might be the models. If you're doing, a Halloween party, it's the people that dress up. If you're doing a black tie dinner, you want them to, dress correctly. It sets the tone. So we've got the right people, the fun people, the good-looking people, and then the final one's the cool people. Now, the cool people, again, it depends on your need or your industry. If you're doing a business thing, the cool people are the press. They're the people that are going to write about you. They have influence. These days, it might be the influencers. The cool people could be a tastemaker. It could be somebody, if you're doing a fashion event, you need that person that everyone thinks they're really fashionable, because they then add credibility to your event. And suddenly you've got this well-rounded event where from a business standpoint or any agenda, all you're trying to do is get these 25% of people to become super fans. And by giving them this shared experience, all of these elements coming into one, you're creating a community where these people that you're trying to impress go away and go, oh my God, did you go to Anna's party? It was the best. I had such a great time. And she's launched this new podcast and you should listen to it. And then these persons going out there telling their friends, because they're the cool people. They have thousands of followers. And they're like, you know what? I had such a cool time at Anna's podcast launch. Why is that? I met these billionaires. They were buying houses from this real estate company. And they told me all about this $1 billion housing market that I'd never heard about. And so they have an experience too, instead of it being the thing they expect.
Yeah.
And when you galvanize that shared experience, then you keep people coming back, because not only do they want to recreate that experience for themselves, but they know that when they go there to that event or to that podcast or whatever, there's other people like them that understand their experience.
Interesting.
And so that's the cornerstone of a community, is shared experience.
That's interesting. I'm glad this is recorded so I can listen to this later.
Probably quite a convoluted way of saying it, but yeah.
Yeah. So it can help me plan.
Your podcast launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you already know lots of venues, so you're halfway there from all your events.
How did you get this information, or like how did you create this information?
Well, that's just something I've made up over literally throwing thousands of events in my lifetime. I see, I often get complimented about our events in the biggest compliment I get, and the one that I find the most valuable, is when people say, I met so many good people. Or they go, you've brought a really good crowd together. That's not accidental. It's very specific. And it could be easy to just think, oh yeah, that's because this group of people like this product or whatever it is. But it's always organized in that way to make sure that happens. You know, you want people to be surprised by who's going to be there. If they go somewhere and meet the same old people, it gets boring, right? Which is why I curate these communities in that way. And when I get that compliment, I'm like, it really shows that that's worth it, because that's what they notice. Because if I look at the other thing about running an event, it's extraordinarily simple. You pick a venue, you give them some food and some drinks, you create some ambience, whether that's some music or lights or whatever, and you invite people. That's it. There's nothing else to do. Every event is that simple. What makes a good event different from a bad event is the people. What makes a good event different from a bad event for your purpose is whether those people have a good experience and think of you or your company or your brand or whatever you're trying to get them to do when they relay that experience to somebody else. If you go to a bad event for a company, you at best will say nothing. At worst, you'll complain, right? Even if you just complain to your friends, oh, what did you do last night? I went to this sucky event. What's sucky about it? Oh, people were horrible. There's a big line outside. There was no drink when I got in there, right?
Yeah.
You have a negative experience. So if you're doing that for business or for community building, you don't want that for sure. You don't want a negative experience. And the next best thing, someone is going to say nothing, then that's just a waste of your time and money.
Yeah.
For them to say zero, what did you do last night? Nothing special. That's just pointless.
Yeah.
You want them to come away having a feeling, I had such a good time. You know, you've got to come to the next one. Or you've got to listen to this podcast. Why do I have to listen to this podcast? Well, the people I met at this event last night were so cool that I think Anna's going to bring the best people on this podcast. So you're creating this feeling in them that they then associate with you and your brand, which is essential to form that community over time. Because then once they have that feeling and they tap into that, everything you send them recreates that feeling. everything you're going to give to them sparks that memory back. Like drinking a sip of Coca-Cola. That's what they do so well. When you hear that jingle, you think of the taste of Coke. See it, right?
Yeah.
Or the McDonald's, even if you don't love it, even if you don't love it, you know the song and you think about McDonald's, right? It's classic genius.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it is genius because it just makes me feel like I'm going to get fat.
Right, there you go. Right? They've experienced a different level of marketing these days. But it's, as long as you can tap into a feeling, you can build community. That's the real sort of simple way of putting it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, shared experience. Yeah. Those were all of the questions that we had for you today.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a nice thing to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to come to your launch party.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing your tips and tricks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Awesome.
All right.
That's really cool.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can support our cause by going to buymeacoffee.com/AnnaYU. That's YOO. More support means more episodes. The link is in the episode description. Also, don't forget to visit our Instagram page for exclusive behind-the-scenes content at It Starts With You. And remember, it starts with you.